What's up, guys? So as we did our lesson last day, I know that some of you don't have SPSS. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to run a series of analysis using RStudio. So right now we are in RStudio. Before you attempt to work on RStudio, you have to first install R. And if you use a Mac, so I don't use SPSS since I also have a Mac, and one is, the software is available, but then it's expensive, so I use R since it is open source and it's free to download. Now once you have RStudio, you might have some interface like this, and first thing that you go to do is you have to load your data. So for you to load your data, go to File and then go to Import Dataset, and then you can import my Excel file. Now once you load your data, it will look like this, and you can change your name as you load your data. So I have changed it to Excel data, so I can show it to you again here. Go to Import Dataset. From Excel, you have to select your file. Now that of course would be okay, here. Okay, where is coursework? Okay, coursework. Okay, so this is my file, and I can here name CW so that I would know this coursework data. Okay, so and then I'm going to import it. Okay, now my data is all imported. Now see, to do these kind of analysis on R, you of course need to know how to code in R, but now I don't do that. The main reason is I'm not a big expert when it comes to coding or anything, so I have the required codes already saved on a Word document. So I generated this through Chat GPT. So the first thing that we can do is we can just go ahead and see whether our data really works or not. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to first generate the name. So names, and instead of Excel data, now here you have coursework, because this is the new data that we just imported, but I had previously imported this data and I have named it as Excel data. But let's just type it as coursework, because that's the data that we have. And now let's just run this thing. Okay, now these are the variables that I have. I have in my original data set, I have run some other analysis. This is a correlation value, it's a Pearson correlation. That's why it has another variable named 8 and 9, but those are not needed. But these are my variables: mouse ID, gender, age, weight, drug, entries to open arms, and time spent on the open arms. So here we have a data set where we have a group of rodents, and the rodents are divided into 3 groups. One group receives diazepam, another group receives lorazepam, and one group receives saline. And we are going to see whether this drug is going to have some impact on the time they spend on the open arms of an elevated plus mace. So this is exactly what we are going to find out. So this is the data. So the first thing that I am going to do is for me to run a what do you call ANOVA analysis, because see here I have 3 groups. I just need to see which group is performing better than the other, just to show that the drug indeed has something to do with the outcome variable, in this case the time spent on open arms. So I'm going to check that, but before I go ahead and do that, I need to check for normality of my variables. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead with this particular code so that I can check whether my data is normal or not. So you have to enter this function by, and then instead of Excel data, I'm going to write CW, because that's the name of my data set. And I'm going to put the dollar mark again. And then instead of entries to open arms, I'm going to select this next variable, that is time spent time spent on open arms. So it will always give you this. So when you type, since I am not expert in coding or anything, I just figured out when you get the GPT's generated code, you type it, but then you have to retype it as well. So when I retype it, now it earlier had these two other little uh, pointers. This see this thing right here, it was earlier there, so I deleted both of them and re-typed the dollar sign, and then when I typed time spent, the variable automatically appeared, then I selected that. Okay, and again, instead of Excel data, CW, and now I'm going to select drug. Okay, drug, and then I'm going to run the Shapiro test. So I'm going to write Shapiro test, and then I'm going to hit enter. Okay, now we have our no multi-testing. For diazepam, now the p-value of course is significant in that one. Lorazepam, okay, that is not significant. But if you check saline, okay, that is also not significant. Now see, here's the thing. If you observe a probability plot, you may actually go ahead with the if it looks normal, you can go ahead with the ANOVA as well. If not, you may go ahead with the Wallis test. Now here, just to be on the safe side, I am going to run a Wallis test because that's the non-parametric equivalent of the one-way ANOVA. So you can do this on SPSS as well. So here's what we are going to do. Here's the code that you have to use. So I'm going to just copy this from here and I'm going to paste it here. So kruskal.test, once again, my file's name is CW, and then I'm going to again remove this entire bit. Why do I remove this? Because if I just copy and paste and type this, it might not give me the results saying that my variable is null or they can't read it. So I'm going to just type it again after the dollar sign. I'm going to write, okay, time. See, again, it gives me the pop-up. So time spent on open arms. I'm going to just click this and then Excel data. So I don't need this. Again, it has to be CW. And then I'm going to select this and I'm going to type again drug. Okay, now I'm going to hit enter. Okay, now this is the Kruskal-Wallis rank sum test. Here the time spent on open arms by CW, so the drug variable. The chi-square value is 77.88 with the degrees of freedom 2 because we had only 3 groups, and this is your p-value, so this is significant results. Now how do we interpret this? This is how we interpret this. I did the same for the entries to open arm as well, because you have two dependent variables here like we discussed earlier. This is one of the dependent variables, time spent on open arms. This is another dependent variables, entries to open arms. So I'm going to just run the same analysis for my second dependent variable as well, just to be on the safe side. So let's see, I'm going to CW dollar sign and entries to open arms. Again, without Excel data, I'm going to write just CW, and then I'm going to go ahead with drug. Okay, now it gives me an unexpected IN, so probably I might have done something wrong. So I'm going to type it again, Kruskal.test, and then my data comes from the file name CW, and then you type the dollar sign, and then entries to open arms. Okay, what did I miss? Okay, then you have to put this sign right here, again CW, the dollar sign, and this time it is drug. Okay, now we got the analysis again. time spent on open arms is very significant. Then entries to open arms, once again, is very significant. So both these dependent variables are very significant based on, the analysis that you have run. Now let's run a ANOVA for the same as well. I have data that I think I have my previous model. Okay, this is the code for that. I'm going to just type it on my RStudio here. It says model AOV, time spent on open arms, drug, data instead of Excel data, it has to be CW. Let's see whether we can run this. Okay, it runs. And then I am going to again get a summary of the model that I just ran. Model. Okay. This is the ANOVA for time spent on arms and the drug. So yeah, it's pretty significant once again. So overall, this is very significant results. I'm going to just copy and paste this to my Word document. Okay, this is my Excel, not Word. This is my Word document. So I'm going to just save it here. So see, here's the thing. So you are the one who has to make the decision ultimately whether you are going to run a one-way ANOVA or a Kruskal-Wallis test. But you can run even both as well, and as you see, both of these tests generate extremely significant results. So this is how you would run a ANOVA and a Kruskal-Wallis test along with normal testing on RStudio. So if you follow this would be a pretty easy method as well, and you can always use the Chat GPT to get the required codes, and then you can run your analysis. So I hope this gives you the understanding of how to run this kind of a test in future. So if you have any questions, you may note down and discuss with me later, or you can just put a comment to this video, and then I should be able to clarify it for you. And I apologize if this video is not highly structured. It's just that I had this sudden urge to make a very quick video about this, so here you go. So thank you very much. I'll see you again in a future video just like this. So thank you very much.